It's a Friday, obviously, and I got a piece of mail the other day. That was interesting. I don't always open the obvious junk mail, but on this day I did. And one of the reasons I opened it was that the letter said, "Please open." And I thought, well, you know something? I need to obey that order because it's on the mail. But actually, something indicated to me this would be entertaining, and it is. And so I could read the return address was from SP Activation Services of Schaumburg, Illinois. And I'm thinking to myself, who is SP Activation Services? What are they going to activate for me? Why are they writing to me? Why are they demanding I open their letter? So I opened it, and it's addressed to me, and they got my name, they got my address, and it says coverage ID 40858000428. And it's got a contact phone number, and then it has an Espanol phone number. And it says, please call by August 18th, which according to my math is today. So I better call them today. Okay. I will open the letter. I will not call them. But it does say response to this notice requested. Response. So I should call them and just say, no, thank you. I could do that. I'm not going to because that's what most people, I hope, do. But it does say coverage status available. Coverage. So I have available coverage status. Now, here's the thing. This is obviously one of those letters trying to get me to buy an extended service contract or third-party warranty on one of my vehicles. But what I find interesting here is it does not identify the vehicle. And so I bought a brand new Ford Explorer a couple years ago. I've also got a couple other cars, but I've got one coming too, by the way, still, so don't forget about that. But, no, I've not said what it is. No, it's not a Batmobile and it's not a Corvette. But I would often get these saying regarding your Ford Explorer with the year. And what they had done is they had simply gone to the state of Michigan and bought the names and addresses of every single person who bought a new car within a certain time frame and sent them letters saying regarding your, and they'd fill in the car. And I think it's evil that the state of Michigan does it, but all states do that. As far as I can tell, pretty much every state makes money selling the personal information of the people who live there. And so when I bought my brand new Ford Explorer, I started getting bombarded with letters addressed to me personally at my home address that identified my Ford Explorer as what triggered them to contact me. So it says here, attention, Stephen Lehto. I'll give them credit. They used the V, but they also used the N, and I don't like that. Our records indicate that you have not contacted us to activate a vehicle service agreement for your vehicle. It does not say what kind. So these people are too cheap to actually find out what type of car I have. But they got my name and address, so they could have just bought that from a junk mailer, a company that sells names and addresses. And again, I think in many states, when you buy the information from the state, you're not supposed to resell it, but the companies do that also. So I personally think one of the worst things our government does, and I know people who say, Steve, whenever you say these kinds of things, you often pick on something really minor. You have to understand what I'm getting at here. The government does bad things. The governments, state and federal, make mistakes. But one of, in my mind, the craziest things that state governments do is take all your personal information and sell it. You're required by law to give them certain information to get a driver's license or to buy a vehicle or to buy a house or a home. And they take that information that you're required to give them and they sell it. It's not theirs to sell. And yet, I've not heard of much pushback on this because I think many people don't know that. So number one, my job as always is to get the word out that people should know that your information is being sold by the state. The people who buy the information then resell it, usually illegally, but they resell it. And pretty soon you're getting junk mail from idiots like this. Attention, Stephen Lehto, our records indicate that you have not contacted us to activate a vehicle service agreement for your vehicle. I got news for you, the SP Activation Services. Your records are correct. I have not contacted you. Your records are correct. Please call, and they have a toll-free number, and have your VIN number available to activate coverage. Of course, I will point out, VIN is vehicle identification number, followed by the word number. In writing, I hate that. Spoken, not so much. I think when you say, well, I checked my VIN and blah, 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 people go, what? You checked your what? I checked my VIN. Your VIN. Oh, your VIN. So when you say VIN number and you're speaking, it is redundant, but it's often clearer. Usually in writing, I will say vehicle identification number the first time, parenthetical VIN, and then VIN the rest of the times. if I'm writing to a general audience. And speaking, I usually would say VIN, and then I'll often clarify by saying vehicle identification number and go from there. You are receiving this notice to ensure that no lapse in vehicle protection, period. You are receiving this notice to ensure no lapse in vehicle protection. Huh? As you may be aware, warranty expiration is based on the mileage and age of your vehicle. Call now to activate your coverage. So they want people to believe that this is tied to my manufacturer's warranty, which, by the way, has expired. I am beyond my warranty with miles and time. By neglecting to activate extended vehicle protection, you will be at risk of being financially liable for any and all repairs once your factory warranty expires. That is true, but buying activation services will not help that. We'll get there. However, you still have time left to activate your service contract on your vehicle before it's too late. Now, did you catch that? That was intentional. The previous sentence talks about a factory warranty expiring. This sentence says to activate your service contract. A service contract is very different from a warranty. Now, both of them are covered by the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Acts. If you have a service contract that someone breaches, you can sue them for that under the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act. However, a service contract is not a warranty or vice versa. It's important to know that. So you still have time to activate your service contract on your vehicle before it's too late. No vehicle inspection will be required. So the implication here is if your car is sitting in your driveway with a blown engine, but you're out of warranty, you can activate the service contract and then call them up and go, hey, my engine blew. Guess what? The service contract's going to say we do not cover pre-existing conditions. Why would they? It says this may be our only attempt to contact you about your vehicle service contract. So, dare to dream. They're teasing me. This may be our only attempt to contact you about your vehicle. So basically, don't throw this letter away because they might not contact you again. Well, they will. Now, it does have a thing here, and it goes, summary of terms. And I'm folding it over just to make it more clear that that's what that is, see? Summary of terms. And it says that there are basically 7 coverages that start with 12 months, 12,000 miles, and go out to 60 months, 100,000 miles. And it goes approval, to be determined, to be determined, to be determined, to be determined, all the way across. So nowhere does it say that I'm actually covered for anything. For a fact, I've got to call them and find out. And then it says coverage explanation is through 2027, up to an additional 100,000 miles, and 3, platinum powertrain. Platinum powertrain. Now, I assume that's a level of service, not a description of the powertrain in my Explorer, because I don't think it uses a lot of platinum. The catalytic converter might, but the powertrain does not, that I know of. And then it says the platinum option. Engine, transmission, transfer unit, drive axle, assembly, just assembly. They're covering the assembly? Yes. Front end and rear suspension, steering, air conditioning unit, electronics, seals, gaskets, brake system, and most mechanical parts are all part of the platinum option. Now, it has fine print. That is literally some of the smallest print I've ever seen in my life on paper. And it says, Sky Protection is an independent nationwide company offering vehicle service contracts direct to consumers and is not affiliated with any dealer or manufacturer. Final acceptance is subject to your ability to meet our full eligibility requirements. Service agreement provider, we, us, and our administrator. Smart Auto Care, Inc. is the marketing name for Owner Shield, an independent dealer group out of Texas. The company obligated to perform under this agreement is Owner Shield, Inc. in all states except for Oregon, Washington, and Wisconsin, where it is an independent dealer group, Inc., and in Florida, where the administrator or obligor is Linden Southern Insurance Company, Deerwood Park Boulevard, Jacksonville. Limitations and exclusions apply. Parts of like kind and quality may be used. All claims must be pre-authorized before repairs are made. This is an advertisement to obtain coverage. So parts of like, kind, and quality means that if your car's got 100,000 miles on it and the transmission fails, they might go to a junkyard and find a transmission in a vehicle with 100,000 miles on it and hope it works and stick it in your car. I know that for a fact. I've dealt with these before. I used to handle a lot of this stuff when I was younger. I stopped because I do nothing but lemon law these days. But people call me and they go, Steve, I spent $3,000 on this double gold platinum pie in the sky rainbow coverage for my vehicle, and the transmission blew up, and they say they're not going to cover it because it's a pre-existing condition. And they do this hoping you won't sue them. And if you sue them, you might be able to get your attorney fees and court costs paid under the Magnuson-Moss Warning Act, but most attorneys don't like these cases because they put up a gigantic fight, and a lot of times when you get to court and you wind up in front of a judge, and the judge goes, what's this case about? You go, my client spent $3,000 on this double secret platinum rainbow coverage for their car, and the transmission blew up, and it's a covered event. The other side goes, Your Honor, they bought the coverage knowing that their transmission was about to blow up, pre-existing condition, which is excluded. The judge goes, wait a second. We're here over a bad transmission repair? Yes. What's it going to cost to fix that transmission? $3,000. Now, I've seen judges look at the defendant and go, you'd rather spend more than $3,000 defending this case than to pay to fix that transmission? I've also seen a judge look at the plaintiff, which is usually where I'm standing, and go, wait, you hired an attorney and you're litigating this instead of just paying to get your transmission fixed? And I've seen a judge almost wistfully look off in the distance and rhetorically ask the courtroom, are we really here on a $3,000 transmission repair job? Like that's why I'm here, the court reporter's here, the court clerk is here. All these people here are waiting to be heard, are waiting for you. And we've got an attorney here and a client, an attorney here and a client. It's all over a $3,000 repair. And I may have told this before. I'm not sure if I told it in context or not. But I once had a judge on the record say, all this over a car? All this over a car? And so the problem is that I tore it in half. The problem is that most people assume that when they get to court, they'll get their day in court. Not always. And so the real danger of these things is they're preying on people who are often living financially on the edge. They got a used car. It's running okay right now. They get this in the mail and they think to themselves, wait a second. If that car breaks down and I can't afford to get it fixed, I might lose my job. I might not be able to get my kids to school. I might not be able to get over to my parents' house, take care of them. Whatever the emergencies are in your world that you'd have to deal with. People realize it and they go, wait a second. This sounds like a good deal. And it might sound like a good deal. But that's because it sounds like if your car breaks down, they'll fix it. And a number of phone calls I've gotten from people who said, I bought this coverage and they're not going to cover it for this reason, that reason, or the other reason. And I've had it before where somebody says, my car broke down. I called the administrator, not of this plan specifically, but of these in general. I called the administrator and they said, okay, tow your car to a dealership where a certified master mechanic can look at it and have them call us. So they have the car towed there. Master mechanic looks at it, calls them, and then the insurance company calls the car owner back and goes, we don't like the estimate they just gave us. Can you have it towed to a second place for a second opinion? And you go, okay, who's going to pay for the first towing job? Well, you are. We excluded towing from this, by the way. Who's going to pay for the second towing job? You are. We excluded towing from this. And what if I take it there and they give the exact same price? Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And I've encountered people whose vehicle was stuck someplace because the place wouldn't authorize repairs. I've heard before that the place out of Texas or wherever they were, the administrator, was making phone calls trying to find somebody local who'd do the repair for less. And by the way, do you know how good of an answer you're going to get when you call up a repair facility and say, hi, my name's Bob. I'm calling from Bob's Warranty Shack out of Texas. We've got a client who's got a vehicle and the engine blew up. And it's down the road from your shop. And the other place has quoted us a price that we don't like. Can you go take a look at it? You want me to go look at the vehicle in their shop? No, I won't do that. Bring the car here, I'll look at it. And I've actually heard from people who said that they were called by somebody who said, just to let you know, they asked us to look at your car, but your car is not in our shop. You got to get it here for us to look at it. And now somebody's got to start paying out of pocket to drag their broken down car around. And so the number of stories I've heard on this is quite high. It's more than you want to ever hear about. And it's sad. And that's one of the only reasons I took these cases. I used to take these cases because I felt bad for people. And when you look at how much money they charge for the service contract and how much they're promising to cover, you realize that either they can't cover everything and make money, they're most likely just denying claims. And that's what they do. So I've met very, very few people who've ever bought one of these contracts, gotten coverage, and were happy with it. Very, very few. The rare occasions are when people bought the coverage through the actual manufacturer and bought a service contract from them. When you go to the GM dealership and you're buying a car and they go, would you like to buy the service contract? Ask them who it's through, and they say, oh, it's through Bob's Warranty Shack out of Texas. You go, no, I don't want that. Do you sell the one sold by Buick, Pontiac, whatever it might be? And if they say yes, go, I'll buy that one. Because the one from the manufacturer is usually more reputable. It's not a guarantee, but it's more reputable. But the third-party contracts being sold to you that are administered not by a manufacturer and not by the dealer, by the way, those are the ones you want to avoid like the plague. So I opened this one just for comedic sake, but obviously I didn't send them any money. You shouldn't either. There you go. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.